Someone else has just joined. There we go. Okay. And slideshow. Okay, so welcome to today's parent workshop. The FS1 team we're going to be talking about phonics in FS1 and what phonics looks like at HIS. So it will be myself, Miss Montenay, Miss McCartan and Miss Jackson leading this parent workshop. So what is phonics and why is it important? So this is the reason why we do phonics, and phonics is a method of teaching children how to read and write. Phonics provides children with the skills to enable them to read and write as well. It's really important that we teach phonics and we don't rush it, and we teach phonics to help them learn the skills to hear, identify and recognize the sounds. It's really fundamental at this stage of your child's development, and it will enable children to decode words, aids in the development of word recognition as well. And in FS, we're going to be we've started teaching phase 1, which we teach twice a week, if not a bit more. But when we start phase 2, we'll be teaching it every day, and it is all about consistent and being really consistent with it. So now I'm going to pass on to Mrs. Jackson.
Hi everyone. So I'm going to talk about phonics in FS1 and what we do. So we focus on these areas of phonics. So in term 1 and term 2, we focus on phase 1 phonics. So in phase 1 phonics, basically we're doing lots of listening and sound differentiation activities. So the children do learn to distinguish different sounds between different animal noises, different types of instruments. We also go, as you can see the picture on the side there, we go on a special listening walk, which is super fun. We get them to have big ears and they try and listen to those sounds outside in the environment around them. We do get them to start to orally identify initial sounds. So the first sound of the word, trying to hear that, trying to hear words that start with that same sound. And we also start looking at rhyme, so all the sounds at the end of the word. And then in term 3, which we're coming up to now, we start doing our phase 2 phonics. And that's when we start teaching the children the letters, but the sounds that those letters make. And the children will start to recognize initial sounds in words. They will start learning how to blend, how to segment CVC words so that they will be able to do beginning reading and beginning writing. And we do, as we introduce each letter and its sound, we do introduce the correct formation, and we have lovely, cute little rhymes for all of those as well. All right, and I'm going to hand over to Miss McCartan.
Hi FS1 family. So yes, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we do in FS1 with phase 1 phonics. So this is the pre-teaching really of phase 2, which is what you all know, like, you know, there's a letter sound, the sound attached to a letter. So before the children moved on to that, we focused on their listening and speaking skills in FS1. We focus on attuning the children to different sounds all around them. And we do that with the 7 aspects that are within phase 1 phonics. The first 3 aspects of phase 1 phonics focus on sound discrimination in the environment, instrumental discrimination and body percussion sound discrimination. So as Miss Jackson touched on, environmental sound discrimination is for the children to identify different sounds in the environment all around them. So you saw the listening walk that Miss Jackson had the picture of. That would be that we go on a listening walk with the children. We would get them to stop and to identify a sound in their environment, whether that be a car that they can hear nearby, the children in the classroom next door, or an aeroplane that was flying past. The instrumental discrimination is the same kind of thing, where we get the children to experiment with different instruments, how they're played, loud, soft, quickly, slowly, things like that, and also to identified the sound of different instruments. Body percussion is the same thing as well, where they discriminate against the different sounds that their actual bodies make. As well, we teach these sound discrimination skills so that the children will be able to hear and discriminate against different phonemes when they learn them in phase 2. A phoneme is essentially a letter. It's the sound attached to a letter. So for example, the phoneme for the letter S is S. So if we develop the skills of differentiating between different sounds in FS1, we hope that in FS2, at the end of FS1 and the beginning of FS2, that the children will pick up the ability to differentiate between different phonemes a lot quicker. And there are the other 4 aspects that we focus on in phase 1: alliteration, rhythm and rhyme, voice sounds, oral blending and segmenting. The purpose of which is for the children to experiment with sounds themselves, hear repeated sounds in words, develop the vocabulary and build an awareness of different sounds within words. So I hope that's okay with everybody. Any questions, you can come back to me at the end about phase 1. But for now, I'm going to pass on to Julie, who's going to talk about phase 2.
Okay, so phase 2 phonics. This is what we're going to start doing after the spring break. Miss Conti, can we move back?
Oh, sorry.
Previous. That's okay. I can't remember what I wrote. So in this, when we start this next term, the children are going to be introduced to the letter sounds, and we're going to do this according to the letter and sounds program order. So like the phase 2 mat there, SATP. So as we say it, SAT. So this will include learning the letter sound, and we just touch on the letter name, but that's not the focus at the moment because we want them to know the sound so that they can blend them and use them in segmenting words later. We focus on letter formation, and we use a special phrase and a special rhyme with that, which is very cute. We help them identify words that begin with those initial sounds. So for sun, sit, snake, and they get very good at doing that as well. We also use those sounds in oral blending and segmenting. So all of those beginning stages of reading and writing. We don't expect them to necessarily be able to write fully by the end of this year, but they will be able to identify some of the sounds and do that beginning writing. I did just have a question in the chat before, and it was about CVC words. So I'll just address that for everyone just quickly. A CVC word is a consonant, vowel, consonant word. So it just means a word like cat or sit or hop. And they're the words that we will focus on first with the children. And then now I pass to, who do I pass to? I'm not sure.
Me. Natalie.
Natalie, there we go.
Hello. Hello there. So you've heard a lot about the phase 2 sounds that we're going to be doing next term. And this workshop is all about how you can help your child at home. A key thing in learning the sounds is learning the correct sound. The pure sound. So as has been discussed, children are going to be learning about the different sounds and the letters that make these sounds, looking at blending and segmenting these sounds or phonemes, and then they will be able to begin to read. To support your child with learning the sounds, it's very important to understand the correct pronunciation of these phonemes or sounds. You may see these academic terms, and this is the explanation here. So a common mistake is to add a to a sound. For example, s. When trying to support your child to say sit or sat, snake, as Mrs. Jackson just said. It should really be s without the So s is incorrect, s is correct. Another common mistake for T is t, when it should be t, and m, when it should be m. by correctly pronouncing the sounds is known as pronouncing the pure sound. And if you can understand how to pronounce the pure sound, you will greatly improve your child's ability to blend and segment the words. Now I'm handing back to Ms. Conti.
Okay, so one aspect that we look at when we teach phase 2 sounds is looking at the initial sound. So the initial sound is the first sound of the word. So it's really important that they can hear that first sound, and you tend to find that they do grasp this, some children, quite quickly. And it's important for them to hear that cat begins with the phoneme k. And this is the first step in the reading process. So before they can sort of blend the word together, you might just hear them saying k for cat, d for dog, and that's absolutely fine because they're hearing that initial sound, which is what we want and what we will be teaching them in school. And then some great activities that we play in school that you could play at home is like the peg matching. So if you have a picture of something, can they find the sound that it begins with? I Spy is also a really good game to hear initial sounds. We've also got magnetic lettering matching, where you have some pictures and they've got to find the letter or the sound that begins with that. So if it's cat, you'd put a k, a C, because that's the sound it begins with. And we also do a lot of Fred talk. Fred talk is a great way in which we teach how to read, and it's breaking down the word, which you'll later hear later on. But for example, if it was cat, we'd break it down and we'd go k-at, cat, and that's more of about a blending, which Miss McCartan will go on to. So now I'm going to pass on to Miss McCartan.
Hi, so yeah, I'm going to talk about what Miss Conti, just touched on there. So oral blending, what is it? Oral blending is essentially breaking down words so that the children can hear the smallest unit of sound within a word. So an example that Miss Conti has just given is the word cat. This word has 3 sounds, k, a, t. And the skill, so we've broken it down into the 3 sounds. So the skill of oral blending is for the children to put those sounds together orally so that they can hear them rapidly together. So we would teach it k-at, 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 cat. That is the skill of oral blending. So that's an example of a word with 3 sounds. I've also given the example of the word float, which has 4 sounds. Float, float. And we encourage the children to blend them all together then. We teach the skill in FS1 in order for the children to build phonetic awareness, to build that awareness that words can be broken down into smaller pieces, into smaller sounds really. We feel that by developing the skill of oral blending in FS1, the children are able to make a faster and stronger transition into blending phonemes when they read them then in phase 2 phonics. Oral blending allows the children to identify and hear sounds in words, and will help with their ability to decode words. Now, decoding words means, so Ms. Jackson touched on this as well, so the word cat, we'll go with that again, has 3 letters in it as well. So the children would look at the phonemes that they see, the letters that they see, and attach the sound that they know to it, and be able to say the sounds one after the other, say k, a, t, and then they've decoded the sounds for that word, which helps them to read. And then further on, it helps them to segment words to spell later on. So they would know that, oh, k, that's the first sound. What does k look like? That's segmenting. So they would write the k down. So yeah, it's a really essential skill that we develop in the children in FS1 and into phase 2 phonics as well, which really helps them to that transition then into FS2 for them to be able to read smaller words. And I'm going to pass on then to Natalie for things that you can do at home to help with that.
Okay, so just to continue with the things that you can do to help at home, it's important to share lots of books with your child, books with words and books without words. Those without words are called wordless readers, and they're a great way to encourage communication and language skills with your child. Before you start reading a book, you could talk about the front of the book, look at the title and the pictures on the cover. Ask your child what they think the story will be about before you begin to read. As you go through the book, if you're using the wordless readers, you want the child to talk to you about what's happening, to make up the storyline. If you're reading a book with words, when you finish the book, you can ask the child what they liked most in the story. Was there something that they didn't like? Can they remember the characters' names in the story? And all of that will encourage your child to talk, to communicate, and to develop a love of reading. There are also some games that you can play online to support your child with phonics, with the sounds, with the blending and segmenting. A free website is phonicsplay.co.uk, and that has some great games on there. And if you want to do some further reading after the workshop today, oxfordowl.co.uk is a really great website for reading, for some books, online books, and resources and additional information. So I just hand back to Ms. Conti for questions and answers.
Okay, so if you have any questions, you can just like unmute yourself and you can ask some questions. If not, I've put a Mentimeter up that you can ask them. If you can't think of any right now, you can always pop them on the Mentimeter, and myself and the FS1 team can answer them, and then I will email them out to you on iSAMS. So you've got them as well. Are there any questions? No? Okay, thank you so much for joining us today for the FS1 Phonics Workshop. We hope you...
One question, sorry.
Yeah,
how do you explain the difference between car and kicking car?
The difference between k and the kicking ka?
Yeah.
Was that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we teach it, we actually teach it as like a curly ka, or the caterpillar ka, and a kicking ka is more of about a kangaroo ka. And we teach it with visuals. So we use Read Write Ink, which has, we have flashcards that will show the difference. And over time, the children will start to, where we learn how we learn it with the caterpillar k first, and then we move on to the kicking ka. Okay. But the rhymes, and we teach it through lots of rhymes and songs, and that will help show the differentiation between the two. When we teach the sounds as well, we use some Jolly Phonics, which has actions, and the actions will help with which k to use.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
That's okay.
Yeah, so if you
Thank
do
you
have
so much.
Thank you. If you have any other questions, do pop it onto the Mentimeter, and I can, myself and the team can write back to you and send them to everyone. But thank you for joining.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Bye.
much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.